So with the PTC ramp down, I think we probably want to break that question into two pieces. One being the 4-year ramp down period, and then beyond in terms of what the effects of the PTC are. So during the 4-year ramp down, I think per usual, we're going to see the industry operating at near peak levels because of the ramp down itself. It's the same phenomenon that we've seen, over the last 25 years that we've had the PTC. This is probably a little bit anecdotal on my part, since I'm not on the turbine side of the construction side. But what I gather is that there's considerable confidence that the cost curve for construction of these projects is going to continue to come down at a rate or to a level that allows the offset of the value of the PTCs. And so just on the pure cost of projects, I think post-PTC window, there's no reason to think that the industry won't continue to grow at a similar clip. And I think the demand's going to be there. The one thing I want to say, this is a wind finance conference, so I want to say to all the finance guys, is it's all good, and just get ready, get your checkbooks out, get ready to write checks, because I think the opportunity is going to be there. So factors driving demand, again, I alluded to this, but the ramp down itself creates demand. Again, I've said that I think post-PTC window, I think that we should more or less be whole on cost with the loss of the PTCs, but there's enough uncertainty that it does create this sort of stampede, to get in while the getting's good, before the PTCs are gone. The other thing that I think, though, is probably the most important thing to say is just the raw economics of these projects is so compelling. It's so cheap, frankly. It's such cheap energy that I think there's a very real mentality out there of we want to get as much of this as we can. I think the pricing levels right now are even surprising to people who are in the industry, like myself. They're lower than I would have told you. I would have thought they'd be, a year ago. So challenges and risks to the industry is an interesting one. There's a lot of focus right now and a lot of concern about the new administration and the policy side of this industry, and rightfully so. There's a lot of rhetoric coming from the new administration that is certainly troubling on many levels, and I think ultimately reflects a lack of understanding, or frankly an ignorance about the industry and the history of the industry and the potential, all those kinds of things. But we're a pretty resilient and confident bunch in this industry, and I really think that certainly for me personally, and for my company Tradewind, and I think across the industry, people are feeling very, very confident that there is no administration change in Washington that is going to stop this thing. It's a speed bump, so to speak, maybe, but I don't think there's any stopping it. So the thing that I worry most about really is more with respect to the grid, the transmission system. So I've said that I think that the costs are going to continue to come down to offset the loss of the PTCs. And I've said that on the policy side of this, policies are going to ebb and flow depending on what administration's in Washington. I think we're going to survive all that. The transmission system is something that I've been very concerned about for several years now. We're starting to see now specific examples in the markets that we're in where continued investment is going to slow or maybe even stop because of the inability of the transmission system basically to handle additional construction of new projects. And so that shows up in the form of curtailment, congestion, low LMPs, low locational marginal pricing. And it's a real problem, and I think that in the end it's going to become the story on the thing that limits growth. And so there's clearly a policy connection when you talk about the transmission system, but we're really going to need, I think, a big shift in focus on the part of our industry to transmission specifically, and trying to figure out how to solve this problem. And it's going to take kind of a moonshot effort really to do it right, to upgrade and expand the grid in a way that's going to allow us to get renewable energy from where it's generated to the urban areas and the load centers. So for future opportunities, for Tradewind, it's really kind of business as usual. And in fact, I can say that we've actually doubled our growth projections for Tradewind in the last 12 to 18 months. So we're going from a 500 or 600 megawatt per year company to 1,000 megawatts plus. This year we should complete at least 1,100 megawatts. So we're investing very heavily in the future. I would say that there is no strategy for us of just invest for this PTC window and then that's kind of it. We're investing on the assumption that this thing is going to keep rolling down the tracks beyond this PTC window. Our market focus is SPP and MISO for the most part, but with the one caveat of concerns around the transmission system, and I should say not only the grid itself, but also the RTO structure that we have in place. Assuming that we're working on solving that and that we can continue to make progress there, I think we're expecting the industry to continue to grow for many years to come.